Well, here we go. A few patches I just made. Or this one. Or this. Or well, let me start from scratch here. I'm not an expert on this Rev 2, but let's see how far we can go. You go into the users here, because the other banks are filled in. You cannot change it in users. You can take program 1 in users and push these two buttons, do hold, and you have a square, a sawtooth wave. And this is oscillator 1. Here's the oscillator mix. This is oscillator 1 here. Here are the different waveforms, and I can change between the waveforms. When I take pulse, I can do some shape modulation here. I could put in a sub-octave and some noise. Go into the filter section here. Do a little bit of cut-off. And then I can work with the tech. Decay, sustain, release, of course, we know that. I take a 4-pole or a 2-pole filter. Now it's a 2-pole, so it's not that extreme. Going through the sustain again. And you have something like this. A little bit too much noise. Go a little bit out of the resonance. And the envelope amount. And the key amount. Sometimes the sub-octave is too much. Well, then I put in the other one oscillator. So I go over here to the right side. Now this one, and it's deactivated. I can activate it, and then I get a sawtooth here. And when I take both oscillators, I can go up to both. Let me take a triangle here, and I fine-tune them a little bit. You hear immediately, you get this prophet sound. It's quite nice. Okay, I take a 4-pole filter again. And to pimp it up a little bit, you go into the effects section, put it on, and just select an effect. Let's take a chorus here. Nice for this, and it's too extreme. You can put in the mix and the chorus rate just down a little bit. Chorus depth, not too much. Mix it a little bit. It depends on what you want, and you have this E minor chord in. You see, up to this point it's quite easy, and remember this shape modulation here. What about if we make it a little bit more vivid, and the shape modulation will be modulated by an LFO? Here's the LFO. I take LFO 1. Immediately it shows here it's the LFO 1. And I put in the destination. You see, I've choose the destination. This was oscillator 1, the pulse, the shape mod. And is oscillator 1 shape. I put it in. And the frequency and the amount. And you hear it's working. So remember that cutoff. So I can go into a low frequency oscillator 2 and put in the destination cutoff frequency Here I use it, and there is the amount, here's the frequency. And you can choose between random, square, whatever. This is quite nice, and so you work yourself through this frequency oscillator, low frequency oscillator. Take the third one. Destination could be a resonance or an envelope amount. Let me have a look. And sometimes it's just trial and error. You just check how far you can get. If you get the resonance, sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. And the thing is that the frequency of this oscillator is quite different, can be different from the other one. Yes, the first one is very slow, this one is faster. So the resonance is going up faster, the cutoff is not that fast. So then you can have a look about in this key amount how extreme the keys are affecting this, and the velocity, and how much envelope amount do you want to have. And even if the low frequency oscillator is affecting the cutoff, you can also still go in there and put up the resonance a little bit. Why not putting up the frequency here, yes? So this is the basic thing, and you see even with the basics you really get along with nice sounds here. What you can do, you can sync the both oscillators. So I put in sync, and one is the carrier now, one is the modulator. So let's have a look at the envelope of the filter here. You know the resonance is going into self-resonance when you put it up in a 4-pole. But that here by the attack. And the velocity and the key amount. Remember that oscillator frequency here. And I put in a little bit of noise. And sub-octave. There are different modulation possibilities here. Choose a source. You see source coming up here. And the source could be sequence, if the sequence is running, or could be, let's say, the modulation wheel. I take the modulation wheel, go down, say amount, well, could be up, and now I go into the cutoff. And now the modulation wheel is doing the cutoff. This is how this works. You can choose different modulation slots. It's yeah, really 8 of them. You can also set to breath control and pressure after touch, and 8 slots of this. So it's quite complex. What about this here? There's an auxiliary envelope, and why not using that as a source in modulation slot 1? And it's called envelope 3. There it is. And this one should affect the cutoff. Well, I can, in this case, I also can do it here with a low-pass filter, but let's have a look if this works. I put up the envelope amount here, velocity, and you see it's working, and now you get this ADSR working on the cutoff that's down here. So this is affecting this, and within this routing here internal, you can quite do a lot of things, yes. I change. And what about if I want to do a solo sound here now, right now, yes? Get out of the resonance a little bit, cut off a little bit more. I can also go into the effects again and have a look if there's a sort of a distortion in there, and it is. Distortion gain. In that case, you have to be careful that the sound doesn't get too loud, yes? Distortion tone. You hear it's changing. So this is the maximum I can get as distortion here. We get out of the release a little bit. You can also go out here and there's a ring modulator in there, yes. For that you put the ring mod key track parameter in here and you get something like this. So now we got a ring mod going and a little bit syncing the oscillators. And here it gets quite interesting for new sounds. Along with the attack here. Because this is activated in the modulation slot 1, you can do quite some complex things. The weirdest thing I found is if I go back and initialize the whole thing again, that's easy, yes. You have this audio mod thing here. What the hell is that? Audio mod means that oscillator 1 frequency is affecting the resonance. Let me take a sawtooth, for example, and then be careful. And we need a 4-pole and go into resonance. There it is. Wow, that's a little beast, isn't it? Some form and stuff going on here. I can say the delay of, say, a different one, and envelope amount. Get out of the attack here. Now we have this delay, yeah? Here it's immediately. And why not putting in sync in here again? The effects, what I don't like is that you can't layer them. I got the Novation peak here, and you can use chorus and reverb and delay. And put it on one sound. There's only if you got this stack mode, you can use one effect on the one side and the other one on the other one. But I don't mind. The quality is not that super good, but if you get an Eventide reverb in your DAW or something else where it runs through, well, I don't think this must do everything, you know, but it's quite enough. You hear the parameter of delay. And it's also got this bucket delay analog feel, you know. I also have this in the Moog Matriarch. So quite a lot of things going on here. Let me start again, that you can see how it works. Now let me do a little solo sound. I take a sawtooth here. No, I take a pulse here from the oscillator 1. Go in there. Let me take a sawtooth on the second one. Then I mix them. Here they are. Then I detune them a little bit. Then I go into the attack should be there because it should be a solo sound. Get into the release a little bit. The envelope amount should be hefty. Also use here the envelope amount. Then I go a little bit into the cutoff here. What we forgot, there's a glide also in here. Very sensitive. A little bit too much release. So I get again here into that, the modulation wheel again. Here it is. Go in there, parameter, yeah, something around 70, and destination a cutoff again, and immediately we got the modulation wheel. And then I go in here and put in a flanger or a phaser, put in a sub-octave and some little bit of noise. And the oscillator slop does this instability of an analog, because this is a Curtis chip in here, so I can put in a little bit of instability and modulate with the shape here a little bit. And this shape should be modded by this LFO again. Triangle is quite okay, so shape oscillator 1, you see, and amount should be a little bit more. What I forget, pan spread, yes, in the middle, it's in the middle, and with panning I can spread it. And I stack both, yes. So there's a little more going on there. If I want to write it to a program, I just say write, then I go in here, and with the parameter I can use the different letters here, and the letters can be changed by a value, and then I push write again. If I want to go back, I just say global. That's quite easy to do that. There's only one thing left, that's this arpeggiator. Well, it's not a big deal with the arpeggiator. Yes, you can put in hold, and it's running. And while it's running, let me fumble around a little bit what's going on here. Envelope amount again. Put in the resonance. And do some syncing. Modulate the shape. Put out the glide. In this case the glide is not that good, and then here something happens, yes. Use different shapes here. So you got this FM style sound here, it's quite nice. So let's not forget about this audio mod thing. Let me have a look what's happening then. I turn off the resonance, go into audio mod maximum, go into the resonance, and here we go. Listen to that. This is not typical Prophet anymore, is it? The filter is quite nice. It's really quite nice working. You hear this? So if I modulate that, let me have a look. Oscillator 1 frequency by LFO2. I take the destination, oscillator 1 frequency, and let's listen what's happening then. So this is crazy. Here's the attack again. Sounds a little bit spooky, yes? This weren't used. I go out of the audio mod, go out of the resonance here. I put out the cutoff a little bit, and put off the effect. And be careful if you get out of the sync, yes? And, well, here we have something. I can really do nice programs, as you've seen, like this one. What a nice synthesizer. Everything seems to be quite easy. You can get lost in this. There's much more you can do in the global section. Of course, you can split. Of course, you have a polyphonic sequencer This is something I did with that. So everything is right there at your fingertip, BPM. It's easy to understand. It's very comfortable to make sounds with it. There's even a program that is also a VST where you can store this via sysx dumps. And as we all know, it's also can be in the hardware section of the Omnisphere. Omnisphere is running on my PC here, and then all these knobs, or most of them, you can see in the manual which ones are working, can affect the Omnisphere running in your DAW, and you can program that on the fly here. But that's then the programs of the Omnisphere who are faking the Rev 2. But all in all, well, it's wonderful value for that. Of course, if you have a Prophet 6, you can do more. It's totally analog, and the Prophet 6, for example, has the possibility to use different effects on one sound as a Novation Peak does. But for me, I'm really happy that I bought it. In the beginning, after coming from the Matriarch Moog, I thought, well, this Curtis chip thing, and I don't know. But in the end, it's I would say this one and the Matriarch, and then you have a nice piano like Nord Electro 6D. Whoever needs more when you're playing in a band and want to be innovative and make your own sounds, I think very nice. Check it out at your local dealer and doing sounds like this. It's a total different beast from a VST plugin. You must try it out. Don't argue theoretically. Play a thing like this and you'll find it's really... You will find it's really fun. Okay, thank you.